Look how the stars turn on. Look how the stars turn on. When I hold you close. When I hold you close. When I hold you close. The stars turn on.
Hello and welcome to Season 4, Episode 12 of the Press Box, in association with the unit. So after a flying start last week, Dundalk have been brought crashing down to earth. While there was a good point at home to Shells on Friday night, a 2-1 defeat to Drogheda Utd in the Louth Derby on Monday has left Noel King's side 5 points adrift of the bottom, with other results also going against them in our efforts to move off the foot of the table. So on this show, we're going to be looking back on those matches and asking ourselves, I suppose, where do we go from here? We're also going to be looking ahead to Friday's trip to Waterford in the RSC, and also going to hear from owner Brian Ainscough, who James caught up with after the game on Friday and has discusses things from Noel King's appointment and potential future investment. But first, how big a blow, I suppose, was today? And, even on the intro there, there's, a number of facets there, including other results going against us, and I suppose just as well the manner of defeat. Again, you could tell me stats, but definitely last year, there was teams that went down to 10 men against us and all of a sudden would win and stuff. So a huge blow losing again. I think regardless of it being a Louth derby, I think that was our chance to kind of build momentum and get up there. But kind of another shot in the foot for ourselves. And, nobody kind of expects anything different, sadly, at some times with this club.
Yeah, look, it was tough, just the manner of it as well, where from the point that they go down to 10 men and you basically equalise, I won't say instantly because there was probably about 4 minutes between the red and the goal, with Jeter and Barr took a while going off, with kind of injured himself in taking out Cammy Elliott. But at that point on, and particularly when 10 minutes get added, you think surely there can only be one winner here. And yet there wasn't. And look, it's one of those situations where, probably skipping to the end here, but like, whatever about not winning it, you shouldn't lose it. And I just thought the concession of both goals, but even the second one, just such a needless free kick to give away. The defending's crap, let's be honest. And then salt in the wound. Not alone do you go to Drogheda and lose, you come home and Sligo go and beat Pats, Waterford go and beat Shamrock Rovers, and it's kind of like that. We went into the day sort of dreaming / hoping that we'd be leapfrogging Drogheda into ninth, and not only 5 points adrift to them, it's 8 to Sligo now. It's even further to the teams above that. So that gap of, and I know, right, look, I don't want to be all negative based on one bad result, but
No. At some stage, man, as I said, we're all talking about the things changing and stuff. And I know we beat Bows the other week, and maybe that was it. But no, this was a game, and I said it last week on this. Not the Drogheda game, the Shells game, win, lose or draw, they were top of the table. It's a different one. Sorry, this was a Louth derby that a team went to. We went, was it a half an hour potentially with 10 men the other team had? And even in that, there was no chances. It wasn't that we were baiting down the door. We were all this nice, sexy possession sort of based team, but there was nothing really happening in shots.
What game were you watching? I didn't see anything sexy in that game.
Well, I'm probably exaggerating, but in that sense, I seen a lot of balls being put back, cross, left, right, in the middle, but nothing penetrating against Drogheda.
And that's what I was getting at with the whole, I would be the first to say that it has been better of recent times, and it has, right, to an extent, but equally, it's still just that one win. It's still some things don't change. Even we weren't great today, but we weren't bad either, if that makes sense. But
I agree, there was effort.
It's the same old story of giving away such bad goals, because it's always been an annoyance, and listen, we've done far too many episodes of this podcast in just as recent years as an example. And like you just beat your head off like the table at times that like you don't learn from your mistakes. And I think the first goal was an ideal example of that for me, because probably Drogheda's best chance in terms of an actual shot on target in the first half came from Paul Doyle getting closed down by Gary Deegan, him slipping a lad through, and in the first half it was Adam Foley, poor enough finish. He relatively straight at George Shelby. Possibly could have squared it back for a tap in, but it was a let off for Dundalk, right? And when you have a let off, learn from it. But I've seen debates on this. Maybe Shelby shouldn't have played the ball to him, but I think that's a cop out. I don't blame Shelby for that. I think Paul Doyle's in a position where he's looking for the ball and he's far too lax on it, and gets done by Deegan, and then it's a simple goal for Piero. And we were like, there was a few examples of that throughout. There was one point where I think Archie Davies skipped round Deegan as well in the second half and just kind of got done, where he thinks, I'm past him now, I don't need to worry about him. And Deegan just nips in past him, and it was just like you're in a battle here, you're in a derby. Like, where's the we didn't match their intensity at any point. I didn't think. And I was writing up my report there earlier, and you know, 95% of the big chances were there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not that it was a wealth of them, but like boxing terms, you probably say they deserved it. Now I will say, and I don't want to bang on about officiating every week, for me, Gary Deegan, very lucky boy to still be on the pitch in the second half, and had a huge role to play in obviously the first goal and in general. And look, it's a different game maybe if they're down to 10 men before half time, which I believe they should have. I'm like, we're not in the position here of calling for people to be sent off. That's not, but you know, he went in heavy on Doyle. I don't think anyone could say it wasn't at least a yellow. Caught him with his elbow. It's dangerous. And then, like, what you want from your officials is a bit of sort of consistency. Like, there's a point towards the end of the game where Adam Foley kind of clips someone's ankles, and it's a play on situation, and gets booked then subsequently for not like, I think it was Scott Hyde. I think he called. Hyde didn't even go down, and Rob Harvey brings it back and yellow cards him. What's the difference between that and what was a far worse challenge for me by Deegan on Benson? And it's just that sort of level of consistency you want from your officials. But like, look, that maybe that's excuse or whatever, but you know, like, they put the bodies on the line. Drogheda, they probably wanted a bit more. Like, Luke Heaney got the man of the match in the ground. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. He made two brilliant blocks, one off the line from Jamie Gullen. You know, we didn't have that, or enough of that, shall we
But
say?
even
Like,
the last goal, like as I said, yes, we did have kind of some chances, and that Gullen one, in fairness, Jamie Gullen did very well for it. In theory, took his chance well, but they had a guy that was willing to die to get it on the line, and like, it was an outstanding. I didn't even see it. I was like looking and going, did that the post or what? Like, your man came out of nowhere, brilliant stuff. And then you look at the defending and the desire and the intensity, and the switched onness, as in ready to defend it in the 94th minute or whatever it was that they scored. It was diabolical defending, and that's mental, and that's desire. That's not like all them lads are decent enough level. Like, they all know what they're at, but yet I think you're 100% right that Drogheda absolutely wanted it more. Now, on the other side of that, by the way, there's no getting away from me. I was in the away section and we scored the free kick. Yeah, another one, not from open play. But great free kick, well taken. But so we're ready to go, and then all of a sudden these fucking clowns beside us start throwing on the pyro stuff onto the pitch, and like, regardless of anything like that, whatever people think about pyro and all that sort of argument, that's actually not what I'm getting at. What happened there was it actually killed momentum for Dundalk. So we were going to be on top. Let's say there's 20, 30 minutes left, whatever there is. And the ref has to stop the game for 5 minutes or whatever it was. And, Kevin Doherty gets to bring his lads over, reshape them, make his subs, do things, get talking to guys that he wouldn't have if we were just going straight back to kickoff. And I just think that's something that the club, it's not even like a band thing. This isn't a completely separate argument. I just thought you're really not helping your club on the pitch at this stage. This has nothing to do with bans or any of the illegal conversations that everybody's had over the years. This is actually, I was just looking at that thinking, and by the way, so was everybody else around me actually was thinking, what are you doing, lads? And it was just unnecessary. And in my opinion, definitely, whether we would have won or not, I don't fucking know. But it slowed down the game. It gave Drogheda maybe a bit, not of an edge, but they were able to calm themselves, reset everything. And I thought nearly some of our own fans let us down in our chance and desire to actually want to go and win that game. And I thought that 5-minute hold up really affected us.
Massively. And this isn't hindsight. I was obviously tweeting from the game and said it straight away, like before the retake had even happened. So some people will try and brush it under the carpet and say, look, it's hindsight and like we wouldn't have scored if we were there for 100 more minutes and blah blah blah, right? And maybe
and that
there's
is
an
a
element of
potential.
truth
I
in
will
that.
accept that, but it
No,
still
but
didn't help. Though.
But you catch them on the hop where, look, teams are most susceptible probably to scoring straight after they've conceded as well, because particularly in a situation where that, like, literally Andrew Ogun's come in, he probably hasn't done great for a free kick. His first act is literally to, put the ball out of play. Maybe we get a shot off and he's still not ready, in those minutes where he's time to settle. As I say, Doherty is a chance, almost like a timeout to, rearrange things, because you've just taken off your centre forward who, at the very least is a huge, like, Piro's a man mountain, like he's an outball. And he got to reset them, and there's endless examples. I was thinking back earlier, like we played Derry last year and got 2 goals. Like Robbie Benson scored, and then was it Yuli Coco, like straight from the kickoff, basically went through and scored as well. And even the last time actually we won in Weavers Park last June, like Pat Hooban got 2 goals in 3 minutes. We didn't have a chance to even try and get 2 goals in 3 minutes because the game was delayed for longer than that. So listen, we never know how detrimental it was, but it certainly didn't help because, the boost the players got, the boost the fans got, it sort of withered away, and it gave Drogheda that breather, that time to settle, that time to sort of readjust tactically. And it's nonsense stuff. And listen, the previous regime didn't want to do anything about pyro because, look, today, right, did it affect results? Well, after the game, I asked Noel King, Brian Gartland, and Jamie Gullen, just as the 3 people I spoke to, and all 3 were unimpressed by it, right? So you're not helping the team because they've just said it themselves, right? But aside from that, I don't know what the fines are going to be for that. They don't publish it or whatever. But like, we're losing money. Just it's an away gate where you're not making money anyway, and there's more money being forked out needlessly, literally up in smoke. Why? Because you're not the great fans you think you are. And I realize it's a 1 or 2 individuals, but that definitely had for me an impact today on it's a bit like anything. When you have someone down on the canvas, you don't let them up. Well, we let them up for a breather. And listen, maybe we wouldn't have finished them off anyway. We'll never know. But it definitely didn't help. And as I say, there's 3, if your manager, your head of football operations, and your goal scorer all saying, and I'm sure if I had spoke to more, they also wouldn't have been happy about that break and play, because like anything, it's, you score yourself. I know you do a bit of coaching. Like, when you get a goal against someone and the pressure's on them, you want to get going as quickly as you can. It's but that aside, just the simple mistakes just absolutely killing us. And I thought, I don't know what we do about the situation, but like our midfield today, I thought was poor. Like centre midfield compared to theirs, I thought Scott High wasn't enough. Paul Doyle not doing enough. Whereas you
Doyle's
look
not
at
at
what
it. He's just not
Deegan,
at it in any way, shape, or form. Other lads, I can.
and this is maybe the little problem. So like when I say there's been a bit of improvement, and like I'm not going to go back overly, but we did play Shells on Friday, and we did play all right, and probably had everything bar that sort of that goal. You know, they had 3 shots in the entire game. One of them nearly hit the corner flag. One of them was probably more, could have been in Crook Park, be it rugby or Gaelic, take your pick. And fair enough, Sean Boyd had a pretty decent chance 2 minutes from the end where we sort of tired a little bit. And I think what we've done in the last sort of 3-4 matches is we found a sort of core where it works. And then when you have to sort of delve a little deeper and use your squad a little bit, we've been found wanting. And I think that was the case today because, as I say, I don't want to pick on someone, but Paul Doyle has to be better for that. I know people are going to point that should Shelby have played it for him, but like he showed for it. And
Sorry,
that's the type
that
of
was a small percentage of the game of watching Paul Doyle. Like a few of us were talking about, like from the offset, you could see he was way off it. You knew he kind of had, it seemed to be a kind of man marking job on Markey, so he's kind of being brought all over the pitch. And in fairness, it's potentially good tactics on our side to kind of try keep Markey out of the game, but he just was everywhere, nearly butt on him and stuff, and he was making these late mistakes and would make rash challenges because he lost balls and stuff, and it just seems even his awareness and stuff wasn't there, and he did things slow, and then you just see him go in for a challenge to try to get things done, and he looked like a bang average player that wasn't able to dictate things like a normal decent number 6 could. And I think Doyle he was way off the pace. I said this the last 2 or 3 times I've seen him. He's the guy that stood out to me in such a negative way. You're kind of thinking, geez, if we could get that position or something sorted, because he got to go. He can't be playing much if we're looking to genuinely get out of a relegation battle. You can't have guys doing that sort of messing in a relegation battle.
In relation to the ball for the goal, I mean that's a ball that Chris Shields took, and I don't want to harp back to the past, but that's what you're being judged. And I'm just talking in League of Ireland terms. That's a ball Chris Shields took and had the wherewithal to turn, but also protect yourself. That if someone comes into you the way Deegan did twice on him, you buy yourself a free kick. Robbie Benson did it today at times where, you get that sort of touch and you can buy a free kick very easily.
Yeah.
If you come under that pressure. But like he left himself so open, it was as if he thought he had all the time in the world. I'm not going to get into. I'm sure the guy feels bad enough about it without us banging on about it. But like it's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. Because as I say, you got your warning. You got your warning, and you didn't listen to it, and it's cost his team today. It really has. And he knew, like looking at his reaction immediately, head and hands. He knew, but when you're in a battle like this, you just can't do that. And like I thought our mid we got outfought, out battled today. Look, there was good elements to it as well, but it probably would have been a bit of a robbery had we taken something from that in many respects. I didn't think we deserved to lose it, but did we do enough to win it?
But ultimately, with
Probably
them
not
other
either.
games now, like, we've Waterford now on Friday, and then we have Rovers at home, and we have Galway away next.
Then Derry at home.
God's name, are we getting a win from in there? You know what I mean?
Well, the only thing is, it's such a like I know this will come across as the dog fan who thinks everything was better in the past when they were winning leagues, but like I just watched a good bit of Derry and Shells there tonight. We're recording this on Monday, by the way, just with time scheduling, so in case anything major happens on Tuesday, that's why we're not mentioning it. But yeah, just watched a bit of Shells and Derry there, and like Shells get a late equaliser. And by the way, Shells actually undone themselves by trying to play out from the back, and lads basically not capable of it. But like, it's 1 win in 8 now for Shells. 1 win in 8, and they're still top. Like, that's how poor this league is. that I don't know what other league, we're not. This isn't a case of, well, they won every game for 20 matches and they've just put the brakes on, a la maybe Cork 2017 or something like that. This is like still very relatively early in the season, and they've had one win and eight and they're still top. And that shows no one can take advantage. There's no one good enough to sort of, like we probably should have beaten Shells by all accounts on Friday. And that's the one thing that would sort of give you a bit of hope that maybe you can get out of this mess. But equally, you can't overlook the fact we've one win ourselves in 14, and those, was it 7 goals now? Like, yeah, it needs to be a lot better. How it gets better, I don't know, but I do look ahead, and we'll probably talk about it in more detail. Maybe we'll just do it now, but like, you're looking ahead to the Waterford game, and in one sense, yeah, they've had a cracking win today or whatever, but like at some point, we need to show something. Like I made the point today, and I know some of this has gone back to like a previous regime or whatever, but we've gone behind 31 of our last 50 games. Like it's far too much when you factor in all like the draws in the middle of that. We're not going ahead a lot. And yeah, look, I'm sure people will point to the fact that we, went behind last season at times and come back and won and stuff, and we did. But you're just giving yourself a massive uphill battle the whole time, and particularly when you're struggling for goals.
Yeah.
We're not even averaging, like if you go back to, say, the start of last season, we're not even averaging a goal a game away from home. So, when you go 1-0 down and you're not averaging a goal a game, at best drawing it. So, like, I don't know.
It is mad, like looking at the league table here as well, like slightly off topic, but like when you do think of the games, so in the last 5 games, if you're like on a form table, okay, so nobody in the 10 teams has won more than 2 in the last 5. And most teams actually, so that I include now Shelbourne, Rovers, Pats, Sligo, and ourselves have only won 1, and everybody else would have 2. Like that's, and lots of losses and draws and stuff in there as well. Like, so there's absolutely no dominant team. Now, in fairness, if you maybe bring it back to the last 10 or whatever, but like in the last 5 games, and I get there's some Friday, Monday ones and stuff like that, so it's hard to maybe have that consistency. But yeah, that's wild. That is absolutely wild. And again, if we're away in Waterford and they have such a poor record there, maybe it's a chance. But I look at that and I think we're going out there and I think exactly as you said, where's it coming from? And like the Drogheda game was such a pivotal thing. I said that last week that like we need to win this at some stage in these kind of scenarios. Oh, we did well. We're building, we're developing. We'll just be not good enough anymore. And we can all sniff around the point and all, but like ultimately today's result mixed with the results for Sligo and Waterford today puts us in deep shit. Again, now maybe most people would say that 9th is still your goal, but like before that, we were probably thinking 6, 7, 8 with a few wins here and there. You just get up there and get safe. But now we're 5 points behind Drogheda with Waterford away, Rovers, Galway away, which obviously we've a terrible record with lately. And then as you said, Derry. Like
that was just one game, to be fair.
Yeah, but like also, well, sorry, we played Galway this year as well and got pumped. So like,
well, that wasn't a Galway away now, to be fair.
Yeah, but like it's Galway. You're fucking playing Galway. So like, I'm thinking, where are these wins going to come from? And just the further along we go down, so what'll be 9, 8, and 27, 36. So like we're nearly halfway there. We're 14 games in, and as I said, the next 3 games, 4 games I'm looking at, I don't know. I just think, oh my God, that's why, like, I have to say, we win there and we go to 12 and the boys we clear them. Fair enough. Even if the other lads win, there's momentum, there's this, but like losing and winning can both become habits. And sadly today we found a way to lose rather than go take anything by the balls. And I think that's a problem. I don't care
Y-
if it's Noel King or Brian Gartland or whoever's looking after the team, but that needs to change to say, we got to win games. You got to take it by the balls here, lads, and actually go and win a game and know how to do that. And we just do not know how to do that. Every time Drogheda had a chance, I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And it kind of felt like that. The boys at the back weren't confident, the midfield weren't confident. I have slight sympathy for the likes of whether it's Elliott or Kenny or Gullen, anyone up top, because I think they go one up top and we just hit aimlessly up to them. It doesn't seem like we have a lot of ideas in that sense. So I I don't know, but for me, yeah, that's a big loss today. Big momentum switch even. And then as I said, I look at these next games, and again, Waterford going to Tala and winning 3-1. That's a big result, and that shows they can go and get a big. We had an amazing performance and drew 1-1 with them at the start of the season. That was their best performance of the season, and it was 1-1. They went and won 3-1 against them. So and maybe it's levels, but that game today brings us right back into the fear, whereas I think we were on a bit of an upward trajectory with a few draws and wins here and there, but win here and there. And now I think, God, 5 points already. Like, we need literally for us to win two and them to lose two to even get it above Drogheda. And I think, where's that coming from? Where's 2 wins coming from in the next few games? So, like, we could be in a battle, a long battle all season now. Like.
Yeah, look, I'm with you in that. Look, I said at the beginning, when you equalize and you have an extra man, you shouldn't lose. That's not a game you should lose. Whatever about not winning it, you shouldn't lose it. And I stand by that. Now, because look, we can't give in either. Like, I think Waterford are the only team to win at Weavers Park this season. Like, so Drogheda have been fairly good there. It can change quickly. That's like, look, we've an uphill struggle. I'm not getting away from that. No, but what I am saying is, so if you look at this weekend, they're going in off a really good result, and probably if they could hand pick an opponent on Friday, it would be us. I'm not taking any of that away, but if you can go there and win, like Drogheda's going to Shells, which is a tough place to go. It doesn't listen, they could go there and win too, but we can't worry about that. But what I'm saying is, you get a situation where you win and they lose, it's back to 2. So it's not, again, it's not easier said than done. We've won one all season. I'm not taking away from that, but you can't just throw the towel in, like, either. Like, you have to talk it up, like, certainly within the dressing room to that extent, to say, right, lads, look, we just need to do our business here. And like, if you're looking for silver linings of recent weeks, Oriel has become a tough place to go to again. Like, Shells were probably, again, I watched a bit of that Derry game tonight. I think they got a tougher game in Oriel than they did in the Brandywell. Truth be told, and they were a minute and a half away or something from losing in the Brandywell. But again, it's a mistake rather than, a bit of brilliance by Derry that has them ahead in the first place. So look, it's a difficult league to score in, etc. But we just have
also,
to
when
keep.
you're down the bottom, having a keeper do something stupid after the final whistle and get sent off and probably banned for 3 games isn't helping either. So that's mentality as well. Like, I think Gary Deegan was winding him up or something. I have no idea what the exact, but like, he needs to be better than that. And I'm
It's
actually being
amazing.
serious with that. That's not good.
It's an amazing Deegan got sent off, or sorry, got someone sent off, but didn't know how.
Exactly, because he's smart and he's experienced. He knows the crack, and he's probably
I
winding this young kid up.
I didn't see what happened with the Shelby thing. It was actually you were texting me. It was like, because my eyes were elsewhere, say, at full time, but so didn't see what happened. Look, he's made mistakes, and it's a pity, because he after the Sligo thing, he'd got himself back in the team. He'd been building up his stature a bit, and now he's, giving himself a bit of a headache, because I think most people would have been of the view Ross Monroe didn't do a lot wrong to get dropped to begin with, and now does, say Monroe does well, does he keep the shirt?
But there's also
Potentially,
a
look,
confidence thing. So like Monroe has to kind of now again for the next 3 games build back a relationship with his centre backs, etc. and stuff. And it kind of just feels like you're starting again rather than it could keep us a different scenario to like if John Mountney got sent off and you threw in another right midfield. It's people are going to come in and out of the games. Keepers don't change. So he's been out for a few games and Monroe's coming back now. Maybe he'd be brilliant, maybe but again, he will be nervous. He is thinking, "Oh Jesus, right, I have to build this relationship. I have to do things right." We've just put more unwarranted pressure on ourselves for that stupid fucking thing that he's done, and I just think all this sort of stuff is signs to me of like lack of experience, you know, smartness of how to get out of these scenarios. Like if I'm John Mountney and I'm his captain, I'm absolutely ripping him a new arse when he comes back in. Like that's not good enough. And everyone high five, oh, it's all right, man. That's not good enough. We're at bottom of the fucking league now, man, and we need you for these games. And you're going and getting yourselves aimlessly sent off for something stupid with a lad after the whistle. It's not even that like the Drogheda keeper sent off today. It's a fair reason he did what he did, but not after. That's not good enough. Mentality wise, not everything. That stinks for me. And I think if I'm the captain of the club or other players around him, my arm's not going around him. He needs to get a bollocking for that to say that's the stupidest sort of sending off that we can do. We don't need more of that sort of messing around. If he is our number one, which in theory under this regime he seems to be, and you're just thinking, mother of God, so that was poor. That needs to be called out. You can't be at that sort of stuff, and that's a big fucking no for me. You're letting your team and the club down because they were building under him. They obviously were building more relationships, and now that's gone. And Monroe has to come in and deal with that extra pressure now. That's not good enough at this time of the season.
it's not. But look, you deal with. That's what you get when you go into the sort of untested mark. He is like learning on the job. It's a mistake. You'd like to think he'll learn from it, won't do it again. I know that doesn't help you in the short term, but like I think today was George Shelby's 20th senior career appearance. Like to put that in context, like Ryan Brennan was playing against Dundalk for Drogheda for the 40th time. Like, and just a small example of like an opponent is playing against you double the amount of time that the guy's played for anyone ever, so it's a learning thing. I'm led to believe he did go and apologize both to his teammates and the officials afterwards, so hopefully there's a bit of leniency there. And I'm open to correction on this, but I'm pretty sure the last player that was sent off after a full-time whistle in a Dundalk jersey was also by Rob Harvey with Sean Hoare against Rovers in 2018. And I think he only got one game. So maybe, but he's given Monroe a chance to reclaim the shirt now because, again, I'm going to be honest, I was surprised Monroe lost the number one jersey or whatever. I'm not talking about squad numbers obviously here, but just that starting spot after the Derry game, because didn't think he'd done a lot wrong in Derry. We shipped 4, but prior to that he'd been solid enough. And even if you go back to the likes of the Mocktas game, etc., which grand scheme of things isn't that important, but he saved us an absolute battering that night, so he was probably unlucky, but you've given him an in now, and that's your problem because, right, if Gullen had got the red card and maybe Owen Kenny gets his chance and takes it, well, Gullen can still come off the bench or maybe play in a wider area or something, but you don't really rotate your goalkeepers. So it's a potentially costly mistake for the lad. So, but look, I'm not condoning it, but in one sense, you're glad to see a bit of passion as well because it obviously hurt. I no, but like I'm not condoning it, but like at least it sort of matters when you're reacting like that. It's obviously indefensible, but like it'd be worse if these lads were just joking around or, I don't care. I won't be here anyway. Like, well, he is actually a permanent sign, George Helvey, so it's not like he's a loanee or whatever. But even, and look, that's going to become a talking point now over the coming weeks too. And you mentioned the loanees, because I think Huddersfield got relegated at the weekend. Lincoln have been relegated. Rotherham have been relegated. So there's 3 of the teams we have 3 loanees from, and do Huddersfield say, well, now that we're League One, well, we'll take Scott High back. Now that Lincoln or League Two, did they take Zach Bradshaw back? Now that and these are all possibilities. That because and I'm not being disrespectful, but obviously the fact that they're here, they weren't ready for first team football. At that moment in time, and around about January, February. But because they're playing at a lower level, did they deem them now ready to be, or certainly ready to be part of the squad? Potentially. We haven't seen enough of Kieran McGuckin to know whether he'd be a loss. But again, Rotherham gone down. Did they look at him and say, well, we'll give him a run at League One level? So they're all headaches we have too, because you don't want to start massively. I know we probably do need reinforcements, but you don't want to massively tinker with the squad either. And look, Zach Johnson fought. I know Sunderland didn't get relegated, but Zach Johnson's probably been the pick of the loanees for me anyway, and you definitely don't want to lose him.
Right. Before we move on to James's interview with Brian Ainscough, let's hear from our sponsors, The Unit.
Today's episode is powered by The Unit, experts in building innovative products for the betting, iGaming, and sports industries. They're the brains behind building innovative products tailored for those who love the game as much as we do. From software that powers up the betting world to platforms that enhance how we engage with our favourite sports, The Unit is leading the charge. The Unit, a winning team that reminds me of the Kenny era Dundalk in their consistency and results. Proud sponsors of the Press Box podcast. Learn more at theunit.dev.
Yeah, right. So before we do finish up, Jim had a chat with Dundalk owner Brian Ainscough after the 0-0 draw with Shells on Friday night. They discussed a variety of matters. So here's what he had to say.
Just obviously a lot happened since they were here last. Just on the change of manager, I suppose it was probably a hard decision, but one you felt you had to make.
Yeah, I mean, I think I maybe said at the time, it feels a long time now, because Brian and Liam took over at that time. But yeah, it's awful hard. I'm a footballer, I'm a coach, and doing that is awful tough. But it's the decisions that we have to make, and we felt there was a need. And like you say, if those losses had to come mid-season, it's a different thing. But when you come out the gate and you go like that many games. And I think Stephen's a great coach, a great future. So I mean, he's not the first fella that loses his job, and so he'll be back and he'll bounce back.
You obviously took a bit of flack. I was leaving Sligo a couple of weeks ago, well, I hope you don't look at your Twitter, but there was a bit of stick over the Noel King appointment, but it's been a decent start, you'd have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people that I brought in, I was going to be stick over, but obviously Noel has been in every facet of football in Ireland and has done everything, and yeah, my relationship with him going back a long time, but I also knew how passionate he was about the game, but also how knowledgeable he was on the game, and he always had his finger on the pulse. I'd met him a few times over the last few years, so I was in the back of my head as I started to look at coaches out there. It's in hindsight now because he's in the job, so he's doing well, so it settles things down. But my thing was to find someone with experience that could come in and deal with the pressure of being in Dundalk, with the beautiful fans that we have that will get on you and give you, will keep you honest and want to know X and Y. And I think he was one of the few that I could think of that could come in and, with his experience, settle things down and also be able to deal with all the off-field stuff too. Yeah. And because I know we have some good staff members here that he'd work with, and I knew he'd know how to come in, observe, and take his time to get the ship right.
Was it just that maybe
there was a process there where there was a deadline set, and that was sort of.
I mean that deadline was. I mean, to me, every deadline. When you put a deadline in, I mean, we're not a youth soccer team. It's this is a business. If you get an opportunity to get somebody, you get them. We needed to get things done quickly. I didn't want to let it drag on. And if we'd have waited till the 24th and looked at every application that came in, we'd be still here looking right now. I mean, fairness, I wasn't mad about putting out an application as a pro club because it's not normal. And, you're waiting on the deadline. It puts you under pressure. Yeah. So it's sort of a false thing. But, listen, it's my decision, unfortunately, or fortunately. Yeah. And that's what I did.
That's good so far.
And so far, we'll take it. And, even before that, the games were going in our favour a little bit with the 2 draws and a tough one against Bows just before that. So the performance is there. And if the players are playing like they are the last 5-6 games, you hope the W's will come.
Yeah. Does that give you heart though? Because even tonight, if anyone was going to win it, it was Dundalk.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this league to me, it's harder than it's ever been. It's probably one of the first times that everyone's going full time. Yeah. There's no easy games. Every game feels like it's a cup final, and when you're at the bottom of the league, every game is a European Cup or a World Cup final. It feels like, So what was really impressive is the way the players have dealt with it. As much as Noel, the coaches, the players, you see them. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about them. Yeah. They've in the last 5 games, they haven't dropped a head. They haven't dropped a work rate. And so they're a real credit, and I think they're a tight enough group, which after 9 games, would have been easy to go the opposite way. Yeah. So I think they've been great, and I think the older guys, the senior guys like Garth, like Darrell and Benson and Boyle and all that have done fantastic. Yeah.
You must have felt at times though, you must have crossed the black cat. Kerry were going 6 unbeaten, and Dundalk were on a losing streak at the bottom of the table, and it's been a rocky start.
The owners are great friends of mine because I was the one that helped bring them in, and we're having a good old powwow on the sideline there. They're all, and I'm sure there was some of the Kerry boys were giving me stick. But again, I love that, and I love personally. I love that the passion of the Dundalk people, that they're going to, be emotional about your decisions and give you all the shite, and then the next week it's okay. Yeah.
I know there was a bit of online criticism of the appointment and when it leaked, but everyone's been behind them. I know you weren't probably here last week, but there was no criticism in the ground.
Yeah. No, listen. The fans want to win. Noel wants to win. Yeah. The players want to win. We all want to win, but the fans have the right to go and they come in. They're paid customers. At the end of the week, it's this is their outlet, their release. So, but I couldn't be in a better place in the sense of fans. Dundalk is a unique place around Ireland in the sense of the fans. So.
Off the field as well, you've made a few appointments, not as recently, but with Aoife and Peter and etc. coming in. Are you happy with how that's going? It's obviously a process, and you talked about structures when I last spoke to you.
Yeah,
but it's getting there.
What we mean. Start with Sticky, Stephen Foster, the groundsman. We didn't have a groundsman. Yeah. So getting him here, and we have a staff that feels like we have organisation and structure from. Aoife has done fantastic. Nida's done amazing work. Ailish, that's been here forever now, has some support in the front office, so that feels like it's an organisation, and we'll be adding as we go on. But right now it's been good. Gavin has stepped up and he's always done a great job. So it feels like now that when they come in the morning, that there's it's not just a couple of people around, it's skeleton staff, so to speak. Yeah. It feels like we're getting to where we have an organisation, and Peter has been fantastic. Peter, even though we got his hip surgery, he's here at every game, and he's exactly what I want as my CEO.
Yeah. And you, like, that was always going to be a process. It wasn't just going to happen overnight.
Yeah, I was never going to be the CEO carrying all the doing that job, but we were always going to do that, whether we were 9-0 or 0-9. We're here for the long haul. We're here to, and in fairness, we're here to build a club. Yeah. And it won't be based on 7 or 8 results that how we'll be judged. I think we'll be judged after a few years, hopefully.
And possible new investment on the way as well. Is that still on track?
Well, we got a group in that we just closed the loop with a group of investors. There's 5 of them that came in and bought a chunk of the club. And we're actually I still have it negotiating with one other person to come in, and that should help us through the next 18 months or so.
And what will that allow you to do that? Maybe
sustain the club. If you look around and you see what other clubs are out there, and you see the P&Ls, you go, oh, you know. So our job is to sustain and be competitive. And I think I said that from day one coming in. You know, we have an opportunity to maybe get that YDS open over there and get some revenue from that too. And, you know, we've a lot to do. Like the first game I came, I still want to put a new pitch in, still want to do, if you notice tonight, we have all the light bulbs are all working.
Oh, yeah,
I think it's the first time in a long time, but if you notice, they're all working. So it's a process.
Yeah. Well done.
All right.
Thanks for that.
Okay.
Right, and I know you wanted to discuss the Ainscough interview, and I listened to it. You sent it to me, and to be fair, I didn't think there was anything. I think it's interesting that he's pulling together more investment. Positive. It'll bring things like, as he said, there's full light bulbs there for the first time in a long time, so they are doing things off the pitch. But I think, you know, you asked him about the likes of King and different things, but he made the call. He said that, and that was really it. So I was like, well, yeah, there's nothing really new here. I think it probably, we all thought it, but it probably just confirmed that he was saying, listen, I made these calls. I thought there was slight, not a worry, but my only thought about on a negative basis was that he wasn't best pleased. I don't know if that's the right term, but with the fact that we were kind of putting out applications and looking for managers and stuff like that anyway, and at deadlines, which he very quickly kind of said, well, you know, we live in the real world, and if we need to get somebody, we get somebody. So obviously there was a different idea within the staff and the owner in that sense, and obviously he went with his own. But listen, I think he has been a positive guy since he's come in, and I think in the few minutes that you were chatting to him, I think he was quite honest with things, and you know, may continue if he is getting more investment in.
Yeah, look, I think on the whole, I think Brian Ainscough has been good for Dundalk. I think we discussed a lot of it there. There has been off the field improvements. There's been additional people in working behind the scenes. There is good initiatives happening. I don't think anyone is going to massively dispute that. The news of the investment was, for me anyway, very, very welcome, because money doesn't solve all problems, but it certainly helps. And if we can, he mentioned, it was only actually while he was chatting to me, you heard there, he mentioned that all the floodlights were working on Friday, and it was only when I looked up I realized, all the bulbs were there, which is something so small, but like obviously needs to be done. And if he can get the likes of the YDC open, etc., pitch relayed, which he did mention, that eventually has to be done at the end of the season. Well, you know, that's a bill I wouldn't like to be footing, but, you know, fair play. I think they are still in talks with another investor. He mentioned 5 there. I believe that the one that sort of could happen next is significant if it comes off. I think it's a Dublin-based person. We'll see what happens on that. So that's all very positive, but I think as much as, so we were speaking after the Shells game, and you're coming off a first win against Bows, and you're coming off a pretty good performance against Shells, to be fair, where I think if anyone's unlucky not to win, it's Dundalk, and things are on the high, but it's still very early in this sort of Noel King era, for want of a better term. And for me, at least, as much as we'll chat to Noel King after the game, we'll refer to it as Noel King's side, and the history books will say Noel King was in charge when we beat Bows, whatever date, April 26th or whatever it was. For me, that's not Noel King's team. It's still not Noel King's team. You know, I'm chatting to Noel King today, and even basics, you're looking for injury updates, and you, I don't really disrespect the man, but I don't even know if he knows who the players are, that, you know, to ask him about them, you know, when they'll be back or whatever. And for that reason, I think everything that's been done to this point, even since Noel came in, it's a Brian Gartland job, it's a Liam Burns job, and obviously the other members of the backroom team. And I think, to be fair, despite we obviously would have wanted better results to get a Drogheda, even Shells, etc., but there has been improvements. needs to be better, obviously, in terms of points, etc. But where this comes in is like you look at it today, and someone sent me a screenshot halfway through, and Brian and Lee were up on the sideline. You can't even see Noel King. It was from LOI TV, and it's kind of like, and I would have said, look, let this go, let the lads run with it for as long as possible when things are going good. But when you've now had that setback against Drogheda, where does it go from here? So is Noel going to take sort of more of a front and centre role? Has he got what it takes? Those question marks still remain. Are the players going to play for him? And I think it's for me, it's still a massively huge gamble. Obviously, look, Brian Ainscough has the right to appoint who he sees fit, but I don't know if the belief is there within, to be honest, that this is the man to guide us out of this. And listen, maybe no one is, but I go back to, some of the other candidates that were potentially interested in talking to, all far more experienced in terms of League of Ireland football, in terms of recent football. Brian Dare spoke about, the ability to manage things off the field, that all that comes with it. But haven't really seen that a lot from Noel. Like, he's done media interviews and stuff, but like, so did every other manager that ever came into the league as well. So the question marks are still there on that one. And at this moment in time, when you're 5 points adrift, and it feels, as much as he's there, it feels like he hasn't started yet. But I don't know at this moment in time whether him starting is necessarily a good thing. Time will tell.
It is a funny one, and again, it's definitely something that I wouldn't be interested in having a long conversation on, because I think it's the first setback this new era has had. It's a very poor setback, as I said, but I think whether it's Noel / the team, I think we only, not even judge this, have more of an opinion, let's say, in 4 or 5 games. And you can actually turn around and say, where is this lad? We've lost 4 or 5 in the trot here, or whatever it is. And he's not, like, then questions need to be asked and say, what are you doing? Or are you actually involved in different things? I still think now, like, if you joined a new company in the morning, like, you're not going to know people's names after a week or two. So I kind of do understand that, like, and he's not going to know all the players, and he's not, and I don't know. This is no sticking up for Noel King in any way, shape, or form. I don't know enough about it, but it does seem that way. Again, I seen the image you were talking about, and I could be wrong. Maybe he's behind it, but he didn't even seem to be on the bench, and I was like, okay.
It's just, it's for me, it's a very expensive babysitter job at the moment.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Like, people have, and you still see the questions. Oh, is he there for the license or whatever? And I don't believe he is. It may be looking that way, and I can understand why it would. But even that being the case, but that's okay. But that being the case, you had 60 days.
Yeah,
It's like Brian and Liam, right, don't have the license. That's fine. That's not a secret. But you had 60 days. You didn't need to jump in, feet first on, even if it is Noel King come the end. So I didn't think, and I'm not changing my view on it. I know Brian there gave his reasoning behind it, and he's entitled to those views. I didn't think at the time it was necessary. I think we were building a bit of momentum under these guys. And I'm not blaming Noel for the Drogheda defeat or anything like it, but when you appoint a new manager, it's supposed to bring about change or a bounce or whatever. And now you could argue we got that against Bowes. I think that was coming. I think that was, and this Noel acknowledges himself, that was a Brian Gartle, Liam Burns sort of management thing. It's where you go from here, because part of management is now, a lot of fans left Drogheda today a bit downbeat. Yourself among them, myself among them. Part of being in management is to lift guys as well. It's around the place, and it's just going to be very interesting to see now A, can he do that? B, is he doing it because, is it left to the other lads? And where does the crossover end, or where does it begin? Like,
And I
are
think
we
that's
still
really
in a...
key in management, and this isn't football. This is any sort of realm. Like, there can only be one chief, in the sense that, like, if I'm Bradshaw, Scott High, any of these boys, like, all right, so Brian Gartland's over here telling me doing this, and this. Now, also, Brian Gartland's done an interview about 2 weeks ago saying, never in a million years do I want this job. And yet he seems to be the guy that's in charge. And then Noel King comes over and you're kind of thinking, well, who's, and by the way, that just sets in confusion. And maybe we don't know, on the training field, that they're saying, listen, Noel is in charge and he is doing more than me and you know. But if he's not, and he is still in this kind of bedding in period, it sets in confusion with employees, let's say, as in the players, that they're going, I don't really know what's going on. Who am I playing for? What are we like? And if it is just Brian and Barnsley, grand. But I think say that, and I think you're dead right that this could cause issues in a few weeks. That it's like, if it's not going well, like we are in relegation form and place in the league as well, but like, if you have addressed it the way we have and there's still even confusion, I think after a few weeks, then that needs to be a topic that needs to be brought up. I think for now, we can't really jump the gun on it, because I think you have to give him the time to, he has two good guys in there to make decisions, deal with things now, and then maybe...
Yeah, and look, and they've done well, and to be fair to Burnsy and Garth, they're Dundalk to the core. No one's disputing that, but like, there comes a point where, so for example, the Drogheda game today, Zach Bradshaw was suspended and actually got the man of the match award against Shelburne, ironically, but he was suspended. So straight away, you have a decision. We have to make at least one change. Who's making that call? So there's a variety of things you can do there. So they went with Hayden Muller, who has played there before. Jamie Walker was a possibility. He was left out of the squad today, as it turns out, but he was available. Sean Keogh was on the bench, who is a okay teenager, but a left back. Robbie Benson's played at left back before. I think Paul Doyle's played at left back before. I'm not saying one or all of them are the right answer. I think Louis Ansley's played left back before against Bowes when he first joined us. So there's about 6 options, right? And I'm not saying all of them are the right option, but someone has to say, right, Zach's out, you're in. And like anything, if I give you 6 options, like it's like lads going out for a meal and there's 6 things on the menu, chances are not everyone's ordering the same thing, so someone has to have the final say. And right, it happened today, and I'm sure it was Brian / Liam who made that call today, but like, at what point does that handover take place? Like, Brian is still our head of football operations. There's a negotiation side to that too, where he is the guy meant to be talking to the likes of, as I mentioned, the Huddersfields, the Rotherhams, the about loan deals, and also speaking to players, clubs, etc., about strengthening, which we undoubtedly need, I think. And there's other facets to his role as well. So if he's doing that, can he do the other thing? I just, a bit of clarity would be welcome on in terms of, like, right, if Brian Garton is our manager, for want of a better term, for the year, that needs to be sort of said. I know you can't actually sort of, but like, at this moment in time, we're nearly waiting, like, on the team sheet to see is Brian on it this week, because it's officially Noel, but like, we haven't seen a lot of management from Noel as yet, certainly up front, and certainly from what I'm hearing behind the scenes as well. So it just conflicts a little for me with what Brian was saying about, this is the guy who'll be calm and experienced, and maybe he is all those things, but it also looks like he's just letting other people do the job as well. I'm not saying that in a lazy way or anything, but it doesn't marry up or add up for me just yet. And I don't think I'm alone in those fears, and I'm not by any means pressing panic buttons after one defeat. I agree with you, it needs to be, but I do think it's something very interesting to monitor, because we, above all teams, I don't think need to be in that sort of experimental phase at the moment. We're bottom of the table. We don't need to be. There's little things like in every workplace where I might need time off and for whatever. Like I don't know if someone has a pregnant partner or something at the moment, but they could be going for a scan and, well, gaffer, look, I need to go to the scan on Thursday. Do you mind if I nip away early or whatever? Like, who do you go to? Like, it's confusing for everyone. So I think it's worth seeing how that pans out over the next few weeks.
Right. Well, before we do wrap up, we have just a few notes. So again, I know we referenced before, but the club are obviously trying to raise money now for our academy, and one of the ways they're actually doing it is the golf classic now in Dundalk Golf Club. It's on Thursday, June 20th. So tee times are filling up fast. So as I said, definitely reach out if you're interested to play. All the contacts are all with the club and stuff, but also just sponsors opportunities as well. So that can be via holes or tees or anything, or greens. I know there's loads of opportunities there for businesses, and all of this does go back into our academy club. So hopefully that's a big event. Stuart Agnew is also who does our opening tune every week, so he's also launching his new album, Into the Black Hills. It's at the National Concert Hall now on Thursday, May 9th, and tickets are available on nch.ie. And also the club are going to be supporting Darkness into Light, which is a great event that takes place this Saturday, actually, on May 11th. So fair play to the club in that sense as well. So, and before we do definitely let you go, Jimmy, you can just run through the old underage stuff, and then hopefully we'll let you go on the next time we do get talking to you. We've beaten Waterford.
Yeah, just on the golf classic there, because a few people have been sort of chatting to me about it. A lot of fans obviously maybe no interest in golf or don't play golf, but I think the golf club will be open on the day, and you can go up and sort of, fingers crossed. The one thing you can't guarantee in Ireland is the weather, but there's a lovely big balcony where you can see the 9th, 18th and first tee box. Well, the 18th and 9th greens and the first tee box, and there will be legends coming in and out, people from the club, supporters, etc. throughout the day. The dinner is included as part of your package, so people, you're welcome up on the day, even if you don't play golf, to support it, and it promises to be a good day. I'm just saying, I know I'm part of the committee there, and I know that the slots are filling up fast. So if you're considering it, I'd encourage you to get your name down as soon as possible, because it's there's a lot of interest in it, thankfully. But just in relation to the underage stuff, so the men's under 20s had a 1-1 draw away to Shelburne on Saturday, with Luke Mulligan giving Mark Griffithside an early 9-minute lead, only for Tyreek Sammy to level matters 2 minutes later. Dundalk would finish the game with 10 men following Tom McLaughlin's dismissal in stoppage time, but were able to hold on for the point. The men's under 20s currently sit second from bottom of the table with just 1 win from 7. Also on Saturday, the men's under 15s lost 2-1 away to Shamrock Rovers, while the women's under 17s lost 6-1 away to Bowes, with Erin Shannon getting their consolation. On Sunday, the women's under 19s drew 2-2 away to Peamount. Chloe Ebezim had given her side a 4-minute lead, but it took a 95th minute equaliser from Ella McKenna to earn Jason McConville's side a point. Also on Sunday, the men's under 17s lost 1-0 at home to Finn Harps, and like the under 19s, sit second from bottom, while the men's under 14s lost 1-0 at home to Shells. This Saturday, the men's under 20s host St Pat's at 12 in Oriel Park, while the women's under 17s are at home to Drogheda at 4. Then on Sunday, the men's under 17s travel to face Shelburne, with the men's under 14s away to Derry City.
Right, well, we'll leave you at that now from this week from us on the press box. We wanted to thank our main sponsors, the unit, as well as our associate sponsors, Player Fit, Jerry McNamee Consultants even, and Malone Financial Services. And again, for anybody who doesn't know, you can also watch this every week on YouTube, and Mullins on the Castletown Road sponsor that each episode as well. So as I said, a bad night in Drogheda. So hopefully now when we are talking to you next week, hopefully we'll get a better result away in Waterford. Talk to you then.
Look how the stars turn on.